people who always seem to get ahead, the well-connected, those who never wore a uniform a day in their life. And the rest of us, veterans, teachers, union workers, caregivers, we're left fighting over the scraps. That's why Democrats, we can't just be the party of resistance. We have to be the party of purpose. We have to say clearly and courageously what we're for. We're for families. We're for public health care that actually works. We're for veterans, military families, and immigrants, and all Americans who've carried this country on their backs. We're for raising wages, housing people, and rebuilding this country so it serves all of us. We have to say these things. And then, beyond just saying, we have to do. When we win, when we will. So let's bring the same fire to helping people instead of hurting people. Let's not just talk about change, let's deliver change. Let's go beyond preaching to the choir. Let's win over the doubters. Let's practice the art of persuasion. Let's speak to folks who have tuned out completely. Let's not pretend that corruption doesn't exist on both sides of the aisle. Let's hold our own accountable, call them out. California has always led this country forward, and in this moment of darkness, of fear and despair, more than ever, America needs California to lead with courage, not capitulation, not caution, but courage. Because courage isn't just something that we admire in others. It is something we are called on to find in ourselves. The courage to disagree, even when it's uncomfortable. The courage to work with someone you don't agree with on something you do. The courage to say no to the status quo. And yes, the courage to lead, not when it's popular, but when it's necessary. This is what this moment demands. No more caution. So if you're wondering what your role is, this is it. Find that courage in your heart. Speak up, speak out, and California, let's lead the fight for the future we deserve. Thank you.
Please give a warm welcome to California's Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber.
To serve this great state with the largest voting population in the nation. But I have to be honest. If someone had said to me that I would be in this position of having to fight for the things that my parents fought for 50, 60 years ago, I would have said, no way. No way would we ever decide to go back and to give up what we had fought so hard for so many years. And yet here we are, litigating the issues that we had to litigate years ago about the right to vote, and those of us who can stand and be counted for. And so it's a difficult conversation to have. You know, I thought about what I was going to talk about with you today. My staff and I had gone back and forth, and I really hadn't decided what I was going to talk about because I knew I would be at the end of the program just about. And you have heard everything you could possibly hear. You've heard about all the problems of the current administration. You've heard about all the challenges we face. You've heard about how we're being mistreated at every level. And it's very easy to talk about the people who are responsible for it. I refuse to say sometimes number 47's name because I don't want to give him any more airtime than he deserves. And I refuse to talk about the MAGA people because they will never make America great again or ever. I even refuse to say that they are pro-life because when you say that, that means that we must be anti-life. We cannot continue to give them the high road on the issues and the language that's used by people at the same time when they're oppressing us and pushing us down and taking this nation to a level that has never been in my lifetime. And so I say to you, it's not about those folks. It's about us. It is about who we are and what we have allowed to happen in this nation. We have allowed the nation to give up many of our judicial appointments so that we have a judiciary. Now, we don't know who it is or what it is or where it will stand for. That we used to lean on it and count on it, and we can't do that anymore. You see, I'm a sharecropper's daughter, despite the fact that I have all these degrees from UCLA and was an early professor at 23 and all that other stuff. I am a sharecropper's daughter who refused to back down at a way station and therefore challenged the authorities that were there and had his life threatened and had to leave Arkansas in the middle of the night in order to prevent being lynched. But he stood firm on his belief system, and he taught his children, his daughters, and his sons to never back down, to never give up on the things that you believe. And I have fought my way every step of the way, whether it's through the University of California and threatening to sue them and others who decided that they were not going to grant me what I had earned and deserved. And it becomes important for us to understand that this is who we are. We are people who fight, not occasionally. We don't win the war and then go home and pack up our things. We know that we will fight all of our lives for what is right and what is just and what is good. And if we don't understand that, we will be in this position every time you turn around. Justice is not just something you get, something that you fight for and you have to fight to keep. You have to fight to keep the things that we have won, and understand that those who are against us fight 25 hours a day without stopping. And so when I look around and I say, we have to fight about everything. And we have to stay vigilant about it. And we have to stop criticizing and attacking each other. We are strong people, but we are different amongst ourselves, but we are strong when we are together. I talk to people and say, what do you want us to stop doing? They say, stop talking bad about each other. I said, someone now is talking about Joe Biden, who's not even president. And they're still bringing up Joe Biden. And you notice no one brings up Ronald Reagan, who was senile when he was in the White House. No one brings that up. And yet we keep talking about it as if it's going to change the world. It is not. We have to focus. We have to be prepared. We have to fight. We have to have the courage to do what is right and what is just. I've been a fighter all my life. If I had not been, I would not be who I am. And while they say if you fight, you win, sometimes you don't. But I learned from the projects in Los Angeles and the Pueblos that if you fight hard enough, even when you lose, they won't fight you again. Because you will leave enough scratches and scars that they understand that fighting you is more than just a casual activity. It can be a life job if you do it right. So I say to you, this is really about us. This is not about those other people. It's not what they're going to do. They've already done what they're going to do, and they're going to continue to do that. It is whether we have the courage, we have the strength and the desire to make this our America, to make it who we are, and to fight to retain it each and every day. Not occasionally, but it is a lifestyle that we fight for. And we continue to fight for the right and the justice that is due us and due everyone in this nation. Maya Angelou once said that you cannot exercise your values. You cannot exercise the things you believe in without courage. Because someone is going to challenge you. Someone's going to want your spot. Someone's going to want to denigrate you. Do you have the courage to fight back? Are you creeping in the shadows hoping someone else will do it for you? This is your battle. This is my battle. This is the world we live in. And when we finish fighting this battle and we win, there will be another one for us to fight later on. It is who we are. And if you don't have the courage to do that, then you do us no service. So I say to each and every one of you, this is not about number 47. We know he's there, but there are a bunch of other 47s coming after him. This is about who we are, what we fight for, and what we stand for. and whether we have the courage to be the Americans that we have been, and whether we have the courage to make our ancestors proud who stood so hard and fought so hard for us to have this opportunity, we cannot back down. We cannot give up. We will never give in because we know who we are and we know what the battle is. Thank you.
Please welcome former administrator for the United States Small Business Association under President Biden, Isabel Casillas Guzman.
Hello. I'm fired up after that. That was amazing. And I know California Dems, you've come from communities across the state where you have your main streets, your Avenida Cesar Chavez's, your MLK Boulevards with all your favorite small businesses. And in California, small business is big. We are home to over 12% of all small businesses in the country, half of all unicorns, over half of all venture investment, nearly a fifth of the world's R&D, and countless scientists who are innovating the future right here in the Golden State. I've had the honor of leading on small business for Governor Newsom and serving in the Biden-Harris cabinet to head the SBA, delivering the entrepreneurial American dream to more Americans. So when elections roll around, I hold true to the simple saying, it's the economy. That's a subject the other party thinks they know best, and unfortunately, they're not alone. A large percentage of Americans believe Republicans are better on the economy. Facts contradict this, but we've allowed that notion to remain unchallenged, to become embedded in the electorate. But if winning elections comes down to the economy, we can't ignore this deficit any longer. We have to take action. The good news, no matter what the pundits or partisans say, we have a strong vision to share with the American people, as our policies do prioritize neighbors and small businesses servicing our communities, not the billionaires seeking ever larger pieces of our shared economy. As Democrats, we approach the economy in a way that aligns with small businesses, the entrepreneurial dreamers and risk takers. We know that the economy is not just the stock market. The economy reflects our sense of security for ourselves and our families. It reflects our hopes and dreams in the future, and our belief that everyone deserves a fair shot. The economy is the American dream of opportunity, including business ownership. The belief that you should be rewarded for your ideas, resourcefulness, and hard work, not by your connections, campaign contributions, and political views. And it's Dems who fight back against the real rigged economy, where billionaire buddies and big corporations get ahead at the expense of the workforce and small businesses. An unrigged economy is one where the entrepreneurial dream can thrive. That means customers walking in that door with money in their pockets to spend, affordability to run your business efficiently with great workers, good neighborhoods, capital, and strong supply chains. Government leaders can't control all elements of the economy, but they can help ensure strong economic development, good education and workforce training, affordable health care, safe neighborhoods, modern infrastructure, and global market access, not short-sighted trade wars. Government can also address market failures and gaps and incentivize small business and entrepreneurship, instead of creating uncertainty and excluding people and communities who can't buy influence. The Democratic Party in California can set the standard across the state with government that works hard to open up access and opportunity for all entrepreneurs and make sure they aren't taken out by bias, burdensome rules, or unfair competition. Small businesses want their leaders there on the ground solving problems. It's something that they, as owners, have to do every single day in their businesses. They want bold action and better results. Prioritizing small business and removing their barriers yields great rewards for our economy. Because keep in mind, they employ nearly the private workforce and create 2/3 of net new jobs. They also give many Americans their first jobs and help spawn more startups. They define our neighborhoods, deliver the products and services we need and love to drive over 40% of our GDP, and they innovate to solve global problems. I am inspired by the incredible small businesses and innovative startups across California. They want and deserve their piece of the American dream here in the Golden State. It's why my dad, Dr. Juan Flores Casillas, left Texas after 7 generations to pursue the California dream for our family. We must all fight for those California dreaming entrepreneurs, because doing so will foster endless possibilities for tomorrow and beyond. Thank you so much.
Representing the 34th Congressional District, please give a warm welcome to Congressman Jimmy Gomez.
Good afternoon, Democrats. Before I was a member of Congress, I was a union organizer. Is labor in the House? Is labor in the House? Are working people in the House? And coming from labor and coming from the working class, I still believe in the raw power of people to make change, to build a country that lifts up those with the least and provides an opportunity to people, not because of who their parents are, but because of who they are. I still believe we are a nation of immigrants and not of kings, a nation of laws and a nation of ideals. And one of those ideals is that no matter where you are from, the color of your skin, the language you speak, or the God you worship, if you come here and you believe that we, the people, are the government itself, then you have a place in the United States of America. And I still believe that the future of America is not in the furthest reaches of space, as some billionaires will lead you to believe. It lies with the new generation of Americans, as diverse as the people in this room. A diverse generation that believes that love is love, that housing, education, and healthcare are human rights, and that climate change is real. I believe that that is what this is about, and there is nothing more American than that. But right now, a billionaire establishment has taken root in Washington, and they're trying to dismantle everything we've built. But let me be clear, we won't agree on everything. No movement does. But we agree on this. We must stop Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the billionaire class that's attacking working people and democracy itself. They got a simple plan: defund, defraud, and lie. Defund Medicaid, defund Social Security, defund education, housing, food assistance, Medicare, defund anything that helps working people get by or get ahead. All to defraud working people by taking their money to give trillions in tax breaks to the billionaires and the richest people on earth. And then they lie about it, straight to your face. Just a couple of weeks ago, Republicans passed one big billionaire bill, the largest transfer of wealth in our nation's history, literally stealing from the poor to give to the rich and the ultra wealthy. And here's the thing, they are robbing this country in broad daylight, and they're counting on us to stay quiet. Are we gonna stay quiet? Are we gonna stay quiet? Are we gonna stay quiet? Hell no. And Democrats also have a plan. We're gonna show up, fight back, and organize like hell. We need to talk to the people who are not in this room, not at the protests, not at the rallies. We need to talk to the people who do not watch our cable shows, that don't read our newspapers or listen to our podcasts. We need to reach out to where they are. We need to meet them where they are. The people who tuned out, who have given up, who don't see themselves in our institutions anymore. We need to wake them up. We need to bring them in, and we got to get them fired up, because this isn't about elections. This is about survival. And to survive, we got to fight them in Congress, fight them in the courts, and fight them in the streets. But we can't do that without you. And here's the truth. Donald Trump is steamrolling the rule of law, ignoring court after court, targeting judges, elected officials, dragging people off the street, citizen or not, and dismantling the very foundations of our democracy. So I ask you one thing: when will it be enough? When he arrests your neighbor, your loved one, or when he cancels the next election? Each one of us has to decide, do we sit back and let it happen, or do we stand up? Do we stand up? Do we stand up? Do we stand up? And because it doesn't matter if you're a progressive or a moderate, Gen Z, Gen X, or Boomer, because we are one. We are one generation now. We are the fuck around and find out generation. Fuck around. Fuck around. Fuck around. And they will find out soon enough. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure to welcome to the stage American labor and civil rights leader Dolores Huerta.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be here with all of you today as we are getting ready to do the real big fight ahead of us, you know? And I just want to share with people, if we can remember the past a little bit. You know, I'm 95 years old, everybody. So I was born during the Depression. Things were really, really bad. People were out of work. People didn't have food. And then what happened? A guy named Franklin Delano Roosevelt got elected. And then out of that came labor rights. Out of that came Social Security. Out of that came welfare programs. And then we had another dark time, the 60s and the 70s. The country was divided. I know many of you still remember that. Our own National Guard was killing our own students. Remember that? Students that were against the war. So that was a dark time. What came out of that? What came out of that? The environmental movement came out of that, right? The civil rights movement came out of that. The Chicano movement. LGBTQ movement came out of that. So what does that teach us? You know what? They can cut all the flowers, but they cannot hold back the spring. They can cut all the flowers, but they can't hold back the spring. And that's who we are, okay? But in order for us to get ready to achieve the things that we've all been working for so many years, you know, like universal health care, pre-college education, you know, pre-daycare, you know, all of this, we have to do something. So during the spring, what do? We clean house, right? We clean house. And so I just want to give you some messages, some tools that will help us. But we have to share these because all of us know people that voted the wrong way, okay? And that's why we are in this pickle right now. And one of the tools I want to give you is to kind of break down how people can handle some of the issues. So we have a really poisonous fungus that is in our society and that is contaminating and poisoning people's minds, okay? So we want to clear people's minds. For all of those people who do not understand why we support gay rights, women's right to abortion. I want to share with you a message that was made by the president of Mexico, Benito Juarez, okay? His message was this: el respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz. Respecting other people's rights is peace, okay? Let's say that, respecting other people's rights is peace. So let's share that with people. You know, how many children a woman wants to have or not have, that's her business. Who you love, who you live with, who you marry, if it happens to be somebody of your own sex, that is your business and nobody else's business, all right? So let's share that message. Another thing, we want to, get rid of racism once and for all, everybody, okay? Let's get rid of it. We are all human beings, okay? Our scientific name is Homo sapiens, and our human race began in Africa. So I want you all to take the hand of the person next to you. Take the hand of the person next to you. Turn to that person and say, "Hello, African relative." I want you to share that message with your family, okay? Share that message with your friends. And we can say to all those neo-Nazis out there, the white supremacists out there, get over it, you're Africans, okay? Get over it, you're Africans. And so while we are cleaning house and cleaning people's minds and taking out the contamination, okay? So we've got to do something with our own party. And you know what we have with our own party? We have people that are as disguised as Democrats, but they're not really Democrats, okay? I'm gonna call them MAGA-crats. So when people come up and they're running, for election, and we know we've got to get ready for 2026, that's why we're doing all of this, we got to make sure that these people are true Democrats, okay? That they stand up for labor, that they stand up for women's rights, that they stand up for gay rights, and for police reform also. Everybody, that's on the table there also. And yes, we have to get the money out of politics. We got to get the money out of politics. And so, when we endorse our candidates, let's make sure that they're a true Democrat, and they are not going to be voting the wrong way on all of this legislation that they swear that they're going to stand by us and they're going to work for us, and then all of a sudden, what happens? Okay, then we have to beg them. They won't answer the telephone calls. They won't give us the meetings that we ask for. So we've got to make our party strong. Okay, we're not going to be able to beat all of the haters out there unless we make our party strong. And this is what we have to do. And let's do something else. Let's work with partners, with other organizations that are also have the same goals that we have, like the Working Families Party, everybody. The Working Families Party. Yes, we can work with them, and we have to take the actions that we have to take, so we're going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And in the meantime, we can do some exercises and, do something like, let's use our economic power that we have and do some economic fast, and let's boycott Target, okay? Let's boycott Target. We know that the Trump administration does not listen to our voices. Maybe they have to listen to the corporate voices. So let's put some pressure on those corporate voices to make sure that they listen to us and they do the right thing. And yes, we must never forget that we have to continue to end the war in Palestine, all right? We have to end that war in Palestine. So I'm going to ask you all to stand up for a second. You can all stand up, please. Take a seat. Please stand up. Everybody stand up, okay? Okay, I'm going to ask you the question. I know you know the answer, and I want you to shout really loud so the haters can hear us. And the question I want to ask you, who's got the power? We're going to say it a little bit louder, okay? Some people aren't sure. One more time. Who's got the power? Okay, then I'm going to say what kind of power, and I want you to say people power, okay? What kind of power? People power. Are we going to go out there and win in 2026 and 2028? What do we say? ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? All together in the organized hand club. Let's go. Sí, se puede.
You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me.
Please welcome back to the stage the California Democratic Party Chair, Rusty Hicks.
Let's give it up one more time for the one, the only Dolores Huerta. The arc of the moral universe is long and it bends towards justice. We've all heard Dr. King's famous words, words often reserved for the hardest of days and the toughest of times. Yet I'm reminded of what Dr. King did not say. He did not say that the arc of the moral universe is long and it bends towards justice on its own. The arc must be bent through the hard work of constant pushing and pulling. And we only have to look to the history of America to know that it can be pushed and bent in two different directions, towards justice and away from justice. And it often depends on who is willing to push the longest and the hardest. Our nation's history is filled with the stories of those who did their part to bend our democracy towards justice. The abolitionists who dismantled the chains of slavery, the suffragettes who secured the right to vote for women in America, the freedom riders who risked life and limb to end segregation in the South. It's the farm workers in the fields who fought for the power of a union, those living with disabilities who won the Americans with Disabilities Act, the LGBTQ voices who put it all on the line at Compton's cafeteria, the Black Cat, and Stonewall. You see, Democrats, they found their own way to stand up, speak out, and push back against the injustices of their day. But let's face it, Trump and his Republican colleagues are doing more than just pushing hard. They're swinging a wrecking ball of destruction at the very heart of our democracy every single day. And in this moment, we, you, me, all of us must stand up, speak out, and push back against those forces that are trying to rewrite our nation's history and rewire our society for the wealthy and the well-connected. Democrats, in my view, it's how we start by cutting Donald Trump's term in half and making him a lame duck once again. How do we do that? We retake the House in 2026, first by sending folks like Adam Gray and Derek Tran and George Whiteside and Dave Min back to Washington, D.C. And then we retire Trump apologists like David Valadao and Young Kim and Ken Calvert and Kevin Kiley once and for all. In my view, it's pretty simple. If you will vote to cut health care for 14 million Americans to give the rich yet another tax break, you need to go. And California Democrats are ready, willing, and able to help you pack and move. You know, these fights, along with keeping our statewide lineup blue, building our legislative supermajorities, and supporting our local candidates will be our work in the coming months. but it requires winning. Winning in 2026 requires that we put the hard work in today to bend the arc of our nation's story towards justice tomorrow. It requires that we invest in a year-round pushback, fight-back campaign to hold Trump and California Republicans who hide from their constituents accountable. More town halls and actions and mobilizations. If they won't show up, California Democrats will. Am I right? It requires that we reconnect with key communities that we saw challenges with in 2024, and we communicate with them in new and different ways. And when we win close elections up and down the ballot, we do so by doubling down on year-round, on-the-ground, forever organizing. Democrats, this is what we will do in the coming weeks and months. What we will not do, we will not bow to a king. We will not bend to a billionaire. And we will not break at the small, tiny hands of a convicted felon occupying the White House pretending to play a dictator on TV. California Democrats, our call in this moment is clear: to push back, to fight back, to secure our democracy for the next generation and bend Dr. King's arc of the moral universe of our nation towards a more perfect union. And I know we will answer that call. Am I right? Am I right? Today we have heard so many amazing leaders that are on the front lines of so many important fights. I'm now proud to welcome our final speaker to inspire you once more. A leader who is living out Dr. King's words every single day. You know, we got to know him more in the heat of the campaign of 2024. A teacher, a coach, a military veteran, a former member of Congress, and now a governor. During his tenure as governor, he has ensured universal free school lunches for students. He's cut taxes for the middle class. He's expanded paid leave for workers. And he's fixed an old car or two along the way. He is living proof that progressive values and pragmatic results can go hand in hand. And he does it all with a smile on his face and a pep in his step, generally fueled by lots of Diet Mountain Dew. California Democrats, I wanted you to put your hands together and give a warm California welcome to the governor of the great state of Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz.
Wow. Well, good afternoon, California Democrats. Chairman Hicks, thank you for the kind introduction and your fearless stewardship of the largest Democratic Party in the country. I'm proud to be back in the home state of Vice President Kamala Harris. She was such a talented and accomplished nominee, and I was proud to join her on the ticket. America is far better off because of her grace, her courage, and her patriotic leadership. It's also a thrill to be back in the great state of Nancy Pelosi. When we were in Congress together, I routinely saw Nancy Pelosi do things that Mike Johnson could only dream about in his wildest dreams. And she did it in 5-inch heels. Badass is the definition when you look it up. California, your governor, my friend Gavin Newsom, a thank you for that. Two excellent senators, Senators Padilla and Schiff, who I've gotten to know. And in a point of personal privilege, an incredible congressional delegation of House members who I count amongst some of my dearest friends. Some of the new members you sent have proven to be superstars. You need to send them all back and a few more to join their ranks. But my real thanks go to the VIPs who are here today. The union members in the House, thank you. And a special shout out to my fellow public school teachers, thank you. So the teachers in this room know you've been here all day. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. I taught long enough to know that 1,000-mile stare you got going on, so shake it out a little bit here. And to each and every one of you who took the time to come here. It is an honor to be with you here today. Look, it's California on a sunny day. You could be anywhere else, and you could say, well, hell, the midterms are 500 days away. But you didn't say it. You came here, you went through the traffic, you did the parking, you stood in the hot hall, you listened to speeches all day, and as I continue to say it, it's for a very simple and eloquent reason. You love this country, and that's why you're here. Now look, I spent a lot of time after the last election thinking and on the road over the last few months. I went to a lot of places. I went to Wheeling, West Virginia, went to Omaha, Nebraska, Youngstown, Ohio, Fort Bend, Texas. Now all you're saying, yep, right to the Democratic strongholds, right where we went. But I went to those places specifically because they have Republican members of Congress and states that voted for Donald Trump. And I went there to listen to those folks. And let me tell you, they spoke. They're really pissed off about what's going on in Washington. That does it. I'll start, and look, this goes somewhere that you'll know. It starts out with, right in the moment we're in, there was a lot of talk over recent weeks on the big, beautiful bill that's out there. I said earlier that it sounds like 4-year-olds name it, but it was an insult to the 4-year-old, so I'm not doing it. They're trying to ram this thing through, this monstrosity through Congress, and they're trying to do it as quickly as they can before people figure it out. You figured it out. It's a record-setting transfer of wealth from the working class to the richest amongst us. The implications are pretty simple. If you're a young couple raising a child, and say your child has a disability, you're going to need to get your health care through Medicaid. You and 15 million other people are going to lose their health care under this bill. You're a single working parent. You rely on SNAP to put a little extra on the table. You and your kids and 11 million of our neighbors are going to be kicked off that vital lifeline. If you're a young person holding down a job making solar panels, your gig and 700,000 other good-paying clean energy jobs are killed by this bill alone. So working people, we get the shaft. Somebody's got to benefit from it, and you know who it is. If any of you out there make $4 million a year, you're getting a $400,000 tax break. I'm guessing you're probably not here. And if you happen to be one of the people who make more than $30 million as a couple, you can transfer all that tax-free to your Nepo kids. But for the rest of us, if you make $50,000 or less, the most you're going to get is about $300. You can't even buy a decent set of tires for your car to get back and forth to that $50,000 a year job. And it's going to be eaten up by what you pay in healthcare costs and groceries alone. So look, the ability of us as Democrats to understand they're going to feast on this thing. We're going to get the table scraps. And there's some peripheral issues here that they're not even talking about. 13 million kids are going to lose access to free school lunch. They get to go to school hungry. We live in states where we provide free breakfast and free lunch. We do it because it's the right thing to do. But you know what's interesting about that? We do it because we're good people, for Christ's sakes. But you know what? Even if you're not, guess what happened in Minnesota when we provided free school and lunch? More kids came to school, and this year we recorded the highest graduation rates in our state's history because of that. You could be a cruel a-hole and it's still the right thing to do because your economy is going to grow by providing those kids breakfast and lunch. Look, 200 Planned Parenthood centers are going to close. 5 already closed in Minnesota. Hey, but there's an upside to the bill. It's cheaper to get a gun silencer now. There's even a tax break in there for tanning beds. So look, you know what they're doing. And I'll give you some names. I worked with some of these people, and I heard the chair say this. Valadeo, Kim, Calvert, Kiley. They all voted for the big, beautiful bullshit. And they voted for it at 3 a.m., the middle of the night. Because you know, you've watched TV. Every heist has to be done in the cover of darkness. So the Republicans, when they're not sacrificing the livelihood of the middle class at the altar of massive tax cuts for the wealthy, they're finding a lot of other ways to screw us. You felt it right here in California, and the rest of the country was appalled. When the horrific fire struck earlier this year, Trump and the Republicans kicked California when you were down. They played a blame game, and they put out misinformation about an incredibly tragic situation. They didn't have the backs of the firefighters. They didn't hustle to get you the help you needed. They hung you out to dry. This bill and what they're doing, I think about this in each and every one of us. My mom and roughly 1 in 6 Californians rely solely on Social Security for their retirement. They're terrified of the 19-year-old Doge dweebs rooting around in government, mainlining Four Loko, acting like a bunch of jackasses who flipped the wrong switch, and all of a sudden seniors aren't getting their checks. It's not a game. It's the rent payment. It's groceries. It's heating your house. I got told the other day, said this, you never say anything nice about the Republicans. Well, the answer is because they never do anything nice. But I said, in an effort to reach out to the Republicans, I said I will give Elon credit this week. When he quit, he finally did get rid of government waste, and we should lift it up. So now I know you're all pumped up. It's a big day. You're on the way out. You're going to talk about the things. We're going to get motivated. But just think about this. It has only been 4 months since this shit show started. But it is really clear where this is headed. And I think it comes down to this. You watch this guy. He's not all that complicated. There's 2 things that motivate Trump: cruelty and corruption. And you can see it in the decisions they make. Ripping away health care from millions, that's the cruelty side. Tax cuts for billionaires, that's the corruption side. Tariffs blowing up budgets and destroying small businesses, the cruelty side of it. A free jet from Qatar, there's your corruption. Disappearing people off the streets is the cruelty. At the same time, they sell access to the White House to the crypto bros and the corruption. What was great about that is those poor bastards didn't even get a good steak when they went there, and he took off. So maybe there is justice in the universe. But look, we can blame and we can put, and we should, but Trump doesn't do this alone. Those Republican names we just read and those other Republicans in Congress, they are fully complicit in everything that's happening. Everything. And don't even get me started with anybody who's in elected office right now and wants to call themselves moderate. There's not one damn thing moderate about what they're doing or caving into him. Not one thing. But here's the thing. You can sit at home and complain. You can turn on TV and yell at it. You can argue with your MAGA family members, or you can do what you did. You can come here, you can start to organize, and we can make sure these people pay at the midterms, that they pay the price. Now look, this isn't about trying to, if I had all the answers, maybe we win in November. I don't know. So I might be the wrong guy in this. But I think we got to be honest in what happened. Because losing elections has consequences. Losing elections has consequences for the most vulnerable, and we're seeing that. So I think we've got to be honest with us. We're in this mess because some of it's our own doing. Some of it is our own doing. Again, I may be the last person to lecture on this topic, but I'm going to tell you, none of us can afford to shy away from having hard conversations about what it's going to take to win elections. Here's the fact I came to, and it's not easy to come to this conclusion. I came to the fact that the Democratic Party, the party of the working class, lost a big chunk of the working class. We didn't just lose the working class to just anybody. We lost to a grifter billionaire giving tax cuts to his grifter billionaire buddies. That last election was a primal scream on so many fronts. Do something. Do something. Stand up and make a difference. And for all of the boneheaded, self-serving, despicable crap that Donald Trump does, that guy can sniff out a grievance and a problem. And he puts on one hell of a show pretending like he's solving it. I hear this in all those places I listed to you. People were coming up. They weren't all Democrats. Some of them were Republicans, some are independents. But I hear this more often than you would like to think. People come up to me and say, I don't know. I don't really like Trump. No shit on that, if they say it. I don't really like Trump. I don't know if I trust him or not for sure, and I don't even know what he's doing, if it's good. But I got to tell you, it feels like he's fighting and he's trying and he's breaking stuff up. Now, that may sound ridiculous to us, but for Democrats, we have good ideas. But when it seems like we get into power, we incrementally change things and we don't do the big stuff. We don't do the big stuff. We talk about things that are really important, but the average person doesn't see it in their life and they can't feel it. So the voters come away from us thinking we're either incapable of getting big things done or we truly don't care and we're just talking about it for votes. They did an interview the other day, and look, I'm with you. New York Times goes out and interviews somebody at a bar in Wisconsin or something like that and asks them to do. I don't think it's the best take on what's actually happening everywhere. But this is pretty interesting. When they were going out, and they were in Georgia, and they asked a woman, a self-described Democrat, to describe the Democratic Party in her own words. And she said, a deer in the headlights. She said, you see the car coming at you, but you go ahead and stand there and you get hit by it anyway. That's a review of our party by someone who likes us. I think she's right. I think she's right. This problem isn't just an existential threat for us politically. Fixing what we're not doing and what we can do is demanded of us morally, because we are fighting for working class people, and it's supposed to be our DNA to work for those people. We used to be the party that had the courage to do the big, bold stuff. It was us who built Social Security. It was us who led the civil rights movement. And it's us who have to rescue the damn economy after Republicans screw it up every single time. And you know we're going to have to do it again. And I would say it's because we have to have competence to get the basic stuff done, like helping folks find meaningful work that pays a living wage so they can buy a home in a safe neighborhood and send their kids to good public schools. But somewhere we strayed from our North Star. Right here, right now, Trump and the Republicans are going to screw stuff up enough with the working class. We're going to have an opportunity to be their champions. Now look, I'll tell you this. It seemed pretty obvious last November that there was a pretty stark choice, but we need to be honest about this. It apparently wasn't for a large number of people who did not vote for Donald Trump, but they stayed home because there wasn't something viscerally in them. When I was growing up, it was easy. If you ask someone, what's a Democrat? I don't know, that's the union people. They fight for the working people. What's a Republican? I don't know, they're the country club people who work for the rich. That was a pretty apt general, description of where it was. If you ask people today what a Democrat is, they say a deer in the headlights. We've got to find some goddamn guts to fight for working people in a way that really makes a difference. And I know some of you are like, oh my God, it took getting your ass kicked to figure that one out. No, what I'm telling you is that we, for some reason, are like super cautious that we might say something that offends somebody. We might say something that offends the Republicans because of the way they're acting. You can't appease dictators. You can't appease people. And I think our states, California becomes the target of the Republicans so much. This was a saying Nancy Pelosi said to me, and she gave a baseball analogy out of this that was wonderful. She said the Republicans hit at California so much, just like pitchers only throw at batters who can hit home runs. And the idea was California is the laboratory of experiments when it comes to making sure everyone is heard, that people are valued, that our democracy is heard. And you know what? It's messy, and it's loud, and it can be disruptive. But the states that are taking these things on are unabashedly saying, oh, you know, California, they're socialists, like in Minnesota. They told me that. Governor Walz is passing socialist agendas, you know, in Minnesota or whatever. Oh, like feeding children and making sure that people have health care and making sure we're tackling things. We heard it. States heard it. We heard the call in Minnesota. In Minnesota, we call ourselves the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. We are two parties. The Democratic Party and Hubert Humphrey brought the Farmer Labor Party together. And it's a pretty damn good description because we know who we work for and an expectation to get the job done. Now, Minnesota is a purple state. From 1990 to 2011, we only had Republican governors. Until 2018, that was the first time in our state's history that one Democratic governor followed another Democratic governor. So we're a purple state, and we go back and forth. But in 2022, when we won, had the governor's office, we had the House, and for the first time in over a decade, we had a one-vote majority in the Senate. And the first thing we did was we gathered together, and I made it clear, we do not bank political capital to win the next election. We burn political capital to improve lives as quickly as we can. You know the old saying, they always tell us this, oh, you overreached, you overreached. How do you overreach when it comes to making security for people? How do you overreach in providing living wages? How do you overreach in providing health care or making sure people don't go broke from student loans? So we tackled things like, and it was a bit of a competition because the Republicans kept saying, Governor Walz is trying to make Minnesota a cold California. All these progressive policies. I said, oh no, I'm going further than where they're going. We have the nation's leading child tax credit, the largest in the nation, reducing childhood poverty and making our state the lowest in childhood poverty. We did finally catch up with you. We have 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave so you can take care of your kids when they're sick. And we don't have any paperwork or any forms to fill out. Every child that walks through the door of a school gets a free breakfast and a free lunch for every single one of them. And we said we're not interested in fighting these retreating actions. You know, when politicians say, and this happens in the Midwest because it's happened all over, we'll never let our state go right to work. Well, no kidding, we'll never go to a right-to-work state, but how about expanding and making it easier to form unions? How about we make sure in Minnesota, we banned captive meeting laws. We made heavy investments in manufacturing. We put historic amounts into public schools, and we are at a 3-decade low in crime and violent crime in our state. Those things make a difference in people's lives. They see those things. Every day we're showing what we do. If you get elected, for God's sakes, govern with courage and competency and move quickly. Embrace the big idea, sweat the small stuff. And I said this, I'm not afraid to reach across the aisle and work with folks if they're willing to be reasonable about it. The results are, we now have a state that is not only providing all those things to people, lo and behold, when you take care of your workers, businesses thrive. We're now the friendliest state to start and grow a business. Largest concentration of Fortune 500 companies, and we are ranked as the freest state to choose your life, love who you are, and bring your authentic self wherever you want to bring it. And the two that I'm most proud of, recently named the best place in the country to raise a child, and this one, I'll own it, we rank second in another category. We're the second happiest state. It's cold as hell, but we're still happy about it. Hawaii ranks first. We'll give it to them. Look, I left the public school classroom not to get elected to office. I went to fight for the very things I was seeing in my friends around me, to fight for the middle class, families just like my own. Look, there's folks that doubted us. Those of you in here know this. I did not know this when I ran in my congressional district. There had been one Democrat since 1892. And all the pundits and all the power to be and all the consultants said, oh, isn't that sweet, public school teachers running? And then you could tell they would turn around and say, what a dumbass. He's never going to win. Well, we did win because people want to see people who look like them. They want them to fight for the things they have. And they want to make sure, as I've said numerous times, don't underestimate working people. Don't underestimate folks who know what it means to have to work a full day to make sure that they're able to provide for their families. So look, I'm convinced, I know it's old school, I'm convinced on this. There is an appetite out there across this country to govern with courage and competency, to call crap where it is, to not be afraid to make a mistake about things, but to show people who you truly are and that they don't have to wonder who the Democratic Party is. Oh, are you going to go to a cocktail party with somebody who's super rich and then pass a law that benefits them? Are you going to work your ass off and make sure our kids get a good education and make sure it's free? That's what they want to know. So we got to get rid of the calibrating our words. We got to get rid of poll testing things, as I've said to this. Do you know that people want to be able to own a home? Really? Somebody polled that recently, that they're like, yeah, they'd like to do that. So get out there and listen to people. Have the guts to fight for them. In the short term, I'm telling you what, we have to push back every single day to what Trump is doing, every single day. We have a responsibility to make sure that come hell or high water, we're working for the middle class. We're making sure they get a good job. They can own a home, their kids are safe, and they can retire with dignity. And the thing that we know this is, when we're fighting for all those things that seem pretty clear, we can do multiple things. For those who tell us we should give up on what Republicans have decided are social issues or distraction issues. A woman's right to make her own health care decision is a fundamental decision. It's not a distraction issue. It's not something. I heard folks say we should focus on the tariffs, not that Abreu Garcia was pulled off by masked men, thrown in a van and shipped off to El Salvadorian gulag. We shouldn't do that. Who the hell are we as Americans if that's not a top priority of ours to protect that due process? And we can talk about funding public education, but we are damn sure going to talk about responsible gun ownership so that our children don't die in schools. So we let our party be defined as anti-Trump. We are anti-Trump. That is the truth. But I'll tell you what, if you're a firefighter and there's a 5-alarm fire, yeah, you go put it out. But what you should really be doing is fireproofing homes on the front end. So making sure that we don't ever get to that point. How did we allow it that America would vote for that thing that sits in the White House? We got to let voters know. We've got a big, bold vision. We're going to build a government that works for them. It means having the guts to break down the power structures that are there. We know who's strangling our politics, and we know who's afraid to say things when they should be saying other things. So I got to tell you this. There's a system that keeps our wages stagnant. There's things that make sure that what used to be the air we breathe, everyone in here who's gray hair like me knows, there was no question. You had every opportunity to do better than your parents. That's because when we were young, the average age of home ownership was 26 years old. Now it's 40 because the system is screwing over young people, making it more difficult. So for us, we got to make sure upward mobility is part of what we do. Celebrate them for them. Shake up the status quo. Make sure that no young people are left behind, and have the damn courage that for too long we've got work to do. Black and brown folks are being left behind, and systemic issues and systemic racism is still holding them down. And if we don't do it, they're damn sure not do it on the other side of the aisle. So when they try and bully us and say we shouldn't talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's what we should be talking about, because that's how we grow. So let's go deliver. Let's deliver on health care. Let's deliver on the idea of home ownership as a possibility. Let's deliver and talk about climate change. And I'm just going to say it. Shame on any of us who throws a trans child under the bus for thinking they're going to get elected. That child deserves our support. Don't worry about the pollsters calling it distractions, because we need to be the party of human dignity. If we're going to stay and they're going to believe us, we've got to fight in every part of the country. We've got to fight in every red state. We've got to fight in every congressional district, because we've got a problem right now with image, because we've allowed them to control the narrative. We've allowed them to define what things are. We've allowed them to tell us some states are red and some are blue. That is crap. Our policies improve lives. Our policies grow the economy. Our policies make us safer. And our policies live up to our true American values. So we better say it. If we're talking about all these things in here and we've got a platform, it better mean everybody gets a seat at the table. Every single person. So look, you know it. I'll say this, losing an election doesn't mean you have the right to retreat from a fight. What it means is you get back in the fight more than ever. We lost. Our party lost. We did not take the House. We did not take the presidency. But we're not here. Winning elections is the damn means to an end. The end is improving people's lives. We didn't win, so we can't improve lives. We got to go back out and make sure we're doing it. So look, right now, people just want to know one thing. Do you have the guts to fight for me? And do you believe in what you're saying? Politics isn't left and right anymore. And I'm telling those people at those town halls, they don't really care. They're judging people on their willingness to stand up and fight. They don't want to see us standing like a deer in the goddamn headlights. And there's a good reason for that. Nobody votes for roadkill. Nobody votes for roadkill. So I'll end with this, and you've heard it. Teachers in here know it. It's dang nearly 5 o'clock. I'm standing between you and dinner and drinks with your friends. I'm an eternal optimist, and the teachers in here know you supervise the lunchroom, you remain optimistic when you see those kids. But I'm optimistic because our path back starts with winning elections this year. We win the governor's race in Virginia. We win the governor's race in New Jersey. That builds momentum that in 2026, we fire that merry band of dipshits that are backing Trump on everything. We take back the House majority, and it goes right through California. There's gonna be a bunch of voices come. Our fight is now. There's gonna be a lot of voices out there. Everybody needs to be on the field. Every lane needs to be full, and we need to prepare ourselves to fight on every single issue. So California, thank you for what you do. Thank you for leading. Let's get ready to kick their ass. Let's go.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes General Session 2. General Session will reconvene tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.